Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Value Added Dry Beans panel. My name is Mark Jirik. I'm director of the Northern Crops Institute, NCI. We just celebrated our 40th year. Our mission is to expand markets for crops grown in Minnesota, Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. We do that through education as well as through value-added processing and product development. And we're very pleased. I'm very pleased to be here representing NCI today. We're lucky to have three panelists with us. We've got one online, and then we've got two in the room. So I will ask them to introduce themselves and just briefly describe their companies. So Jennifer, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I've been to Bean Day a couple times. I'm based out of Fargo, and every time I come, there's a blizzard. So the last time I was here, I filled in for my colleague, Gene Leach. He could not get out of his home. He was stranded. And so I came in to do the booth, and I remember frantically trying to leave and pack up about 1 o'clock because all the schools were closed. And I had three kids in three different schools in Fargo, like, don't leave, don't let them leave, I'm leaving. So I'm a little more relaxed today for the most part. All my kids are where they're supposed to be, and we have a few more people still here. The weather hasn't gotten too bad. So Jennifer Tesch, I'm with Healthy Food Ingredients, and we are a on-trend, sustainable ingredient solutions provider. We work with organic farmers. We're in the specialty side of the edible beans, and we do whole, we do certified organic, transitional, we do flours, meals, flakes. So as we talk about value add today, I'll be speaking to that. I've been doing beans for 25 years, and yes, I started when I was 5, and no one say differently to that, but I've been doing beans for 25 years, and I've been doing organic for 25 years. And when organic first started, I was always the one where they raised their eyebrows in the crowd because everyone's like, really, organic, is that going to stay? It's not for everybody, but the specialty side of beans and what that can bring is a part for those of you that have an interest. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jennifer. Tony?
Hi, Tony Snider, NK Hurst Company. We're an 83-year-old fourth generation business, and we are a processor, packager, and marketer of dry beans, pulses to retail and food service. We have a little bit of food manufacturing business that we supply bulk ingredients to. We're also a sugar and salt ingredient, a bunch of other stuff, rolled oats and that type of stuff. That's a regional player, but we're all over the United States with our dry beans. We are the leading brand in seasoned dry bean soup products. And so you'll see our product, if you've heard of 15 bean soup, that is our product that we've been packaging since the mid-'80s. So most of what we do is value added. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And John?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Do you hear me all right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. I'm with Kelley Bean Company. Kelley Bean Company is this is our 95th year in business. Fourth generation, family and employee owned company. Say hello to Craig Kelley somewhere in the crowd there. He represents our fourth generation of the family. We operate over 20 processing plants through 8 different states. We also have some marketing agreements on the side. We originate and process anywhere from 8 to 10 different varieties of dry beans every year. And dry beans is all we do. We're also a retail packager regionally in the Brown's Best brand. Some of you guys may know that one. I've been with Kelley Bean Company since 2005, and I've been in the bean business since 1990. So I used to have a little bit more hair then. So anyway, thanks for having me on the panel. Sorry I couldn't be there in person.
No worries. Thanks, John. And thanks to the miracles of modern technology where we can still be together. Speaking about kind of technology and the situation around us, we are still in a pandemic. And I'm curious, how has the pandemic left your businesses, right? What have been some of the challenges? And you never want to say that there's opportunities in a pandemic, but at the same time, a lot of businesses have figured out how to do things different and better. So can you tell us a little bit about how the pandemic has impacted your business, both for better as well as there's been some opportunities?
I think we can all agree that some of the challenges that we've experienced were not planned. I think agriculture has had challenges since day one. And my father, who mentored me over the years, always said, Jennifer, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Okay, thank you for that. But this year has been, last couple of years, extremely difficult as we're in the specialty side of bean business with organic, certified organic. You can't just go down the road or work with another dealer to get products. So that's always been a challenge as we look to diversify and provide that supply assurance. We are also in the import and export side of our business. So obviously the shipping and the container challenges continue to pose significant problems above and beyond what we ever thought they were going to be. We work at supply issues as the forecast demand of what this pandemic was going to be has been unprecedented. Some SKUs have fallen off for manufacturers, some have doubled and quadrupled, and that's also a challenge in the specialty side of things. So the good that's come out of it is the partnerships, our partnerships with our growers, our partnerships with our manufacturing customers, with our vendors, with the carriers, and how we work through that together and be as proactive as we can with those things that we can control, and then be prepared for the worst.
Very good.
We have a saying in our family that, when it comes around to bean sales and how good things are, is we always like to say, if we can make it through the good times, we unfortunately, recession, pandemic, it's good for the bean business. I think, again, on the challenges is the unpredictable forecasting. I mean, it's a month-to-month situation. We don't know what's going to happen. And we're still not sure what's going to happen next month. During 2020, I think what our challenge was trying to get more product to Indianapolis. So what we tried to do was everything we had on contract, ship it to Indianapolis and put it in warehouses, because you didn't know what was going to happen if processes are going to shut down. So we did that, and we got through it very well. And then our other challenge during that time was, how do we get the most product to our customers? And it was allocations. So we we filled every order in March of 20. Starting in April, we said we're allocating. We just have to. We have to be able to do that to make sure we have product on the shelf at every retailer for the rest of the year. And there were times where, these customers were ordering everything they could the first couple of weeks of the month, and then they're sitting there and they're trying to place more orders. But it worked out. We had product on the shelf at just about every customer for most of the year. I mean, we did have some challenges, but again, the SKUs, you have to focus on the SKUs that are selling the most, and that's what we did. Obviously, everybody's had a success. I mean, in the bean business, we had a great couple of years actually run. So challenges overcome, and I think the success, hopefully, is many new users that have come into the category.
Very good. Thank you. And John?
Yeah, I would echo what both Jennifer and Tony have said. When the pandemic hit in 2020, we couldn't keep up with orders. And, we sell a lot of annual contracts, meaning they're going to ship 12 months of the year. And many of our customers ordered out all the remaining annual contracts in March of 2020, and then reloaded with more purchases to boot. So we were scrambling. It was a really good situation because the 2020 crop in North Dakota at least had some record yields. A lot of growers had record yields on pinos and blacks, and there's a couple trouble spots, but just generally good yields. And so that additional demand after the pandemic hit was great, and it allowed us to get into a lot better situation by the fall of 20, the harvest of 20. What's happening now, I think what Tony echoed is the forecasting. We've got a lot of customers now that are long and not shipping. That's creating some challenges. Kelley Bean exports to 40 to 50 countries a year, and the container tightness and the ability to get a booking and actually keep a booking to be able to ship the product, like Jennifer referred to, that's a really big challenge for us right now. I mean, we're in some cases 4 to 6 months behind shipping what we originally planned to do, just because of the lack of containers. I don't know if it's blame it on COVID or not, but inflation is a challenge that I think we're facing in the industry. The freight rates, labor, materials, everything, it's all seeing double-digit increases. So those are some challenges going forward for us.
Very good. Thank you, John. I think every grower in the room hears talk about sustainability and what does sustainability mean and what does it mean for growers as well as consumers. So could you give us, how is sustainability playing a role in your business today? Could you give us a bit of a perspective?
I think every customer that we have right now on the manufacturing side, whether that's food, pet food, pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, that's a topic. So when we think about on-trending ingredients, sustainability is certainly a part of that. And what does that mean? That's different to each company, right? There's no true definition of how that's clearly defined. So as we work with our customers and understanding what are their sustainability projects, what is it that they're wanting to share, what is that passion, that story that they want to tell, and then in turn partnering with our growers to understand what are they doing? Are you cover cropping today? Are you already doing no-till? What type of regenerative agriculture might you be doing, which falls in with that sustainability? And really understanding, create that niche programming that's going to be workable for the grower and have incentives for the grower, right? Because we need to be incentivized and rewarded for what we're doing. If it's more programming, more tracking, more labor intense, that type of thing, and make sure that's delivering with what the customer's wanting. So within our company, we have our Seeds of Sustainability, and we've been doing that for a while, and that's good for business, good for people, good for the land. And that's not necessarily one size that fits all. But what we do know is that the consumers are going to continue to demand and ask for sustainability. They're willing to pay more for sustainable goods. You're going to start to see some logos and certifications on the finished product. So it's really exciting to see where that's going to go, especially as we think of dry edible beans, what that can do with sustainability. Again, many of you might be cover cropping, no-till as it is today, right? And then when we think about that, again, going into the value add with plant-based proteins and pulse utilization, it's really a great natural fit. And that's really where I'm excited to see what we can do with the bean outside of, canning it and putting it in soups and things like that.
One of the things we deal mostly with retail, and one of our larger customers is Walmart. If you've dealt with Walmart on the sustainability side, you know that they have an annual survey that you need to fill out. And I'm just going to give you, there are 15 key indicators and that they ask for. And I'm just going to list 15. I'll go through them real quick. But this is what they're wanting to know. It's crop supply mapping, access to opportunities for smallholder farmers, on-farm biodiversity management, on-farm deforestation and land conversion, on-farm fertilizer application. So that's just a few of these, but it goes into worker health safety. I mean, there's a lot that they want to know. And what we have to do, we have to go to at least 75% of our supply and have them fill out this form. And then we get graded as a vendor to Walmart. And this is a form it's a thesis program it's Walmart works, in, not just Walmart, but other customers do this. And if we don't meet their scorecard, their score, then we are flagged. We haven't had any issues with it so far, but there's a cost to getting that done and having those requirements met. And so on the sustainability, we don't see it from consumers. We don't get consumers saying, hey, what's going on with this and all this. It's our customers that are retail guys. So not consumers yet. We haven't seen that.
Very good. And John?
Yeah, I would echo that too. I think the customers are the ones asking us for these surveys that Tony refers to, and we're getting the same thing from our customers we sell to domestically and overseas in certain places. You got to assume that it's consumers demanding it, or at least they're positioning it that way to be appealing to the consumers that are conscious of the environment or whatever factor they're interested in. Fortunately, a lot of these sustainable things are also economically sound. We're doing things like converting plants from incandescent and fluorescent to LED lighting. You can see a 3, 4, 5 year payback, and from that point forward, you got utility savings. So it makes economic sense to do so. We use a lot of totes, export and domestically. We ship beans in totes. And so totes are weighted for higher capacity than we were traditionally shipping. So we're trying to convert all our customers to 2,200 pound versus 2,000 and 3,200 versus 3,000 in rail cars. And that's saving about 10% on the cost of totes and on their disposal costs. Box cars instead of trucks. We're trying to, anywhere we can, we're trying to ship box cars instead of trucks. We take 4.5 trucks off the road with each box car we ship. Those are the low-hanging fruit. And when you start getting into sustainable practice at the grower level, that's where it gets a little bit more complicated and challenging. to be able to check all the boxes that some of the customers are asking for. But it is definitely something we all have to address going forward.
So you all talked a little bit about what it means to the grower, but we do have a room full of growers. What do you have as a message for the growers, right? You've talked a little about what your companies are doing, but if you have a message to the growers and how they should be approaching or thinking about sustainability going forward, what message would you give today?
I think it's to know that sustainability is not going anywhere. It's not a fad. It's where we are today. And whether that means identifying new practices as a producer that you may want to incorporate into your program, whether that means understanding those practices that you are doing today might already be considered sustainable as you work with your customers and where you're marketing that product. We are working on a grower outreach right now as we speak and sharing some of what is sustainable, what does regenerative mean. These are some of the things that you could be doing. These are things that you might already be doing that do quantify for that, because it's really that partnership to understand how can I help. We haven't spoke about it today, but carbon net zero, carbon zero, carbon, neutral, that's not going anywhere. Every manufacturer is talking about that internally in their offices, saying, how do we get there? Is that the different type of lighting? Is that the different totes, that sizes that we're using? Are we shipping in bulk versus packaging and calculating carbon credits, things that we never thought we would do 20 years ago, right, when in that space? So I think it's going to continue to evolve. And yes, it is more complicated at the grower level, and there's a lot more questions surrounding that. But now's the time to really start having those proactive conversations with your customers and suppliers to understand where we're going to go from here.
Yeah, I had a meeting. This is probably it was a conference call about 3 or 4 months ago regarding the form we had to fill out for Walmart and with one of our suppliers. And what's helping is that most of our suppliers now have a sustainability director. They have somebody that's taking that on. So talking to our salesperson, my quality control person, and sitting in a room and just trying to talk about it and let them know what our requirements are, what our customers are requiring. And as long as the processors can get that to the growers, that message, and know that, there's going to be a cost, like I mentioned earlier, and we just understand that we will support that. If it's whatever the cost, if it's 50 cents, $100, $100, we got to figure that out, and because it's going, and like Jennifer said, it means something to the customer. Again, I still don't think the consumer really gets it. They'll eat gluten-free bread because they think it's going to make them thinner. So, on sustainability, it's something they don't understand yet.
John, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll fall back to if it makes economic sense and common sense, it's going to be fairly easy to get growers to embrace those things, and already are happening. Look at all the variable rate fertilizer and liquid fertilizer and variable rate planting and stuff like that going on. Not necessarily on dry beans as much on variable rate planting, but it is, those are all things that are, make economic sense to the grower. If you can put on the exact right amount of nutrients, not an ounce more. Same on the chemical side of it. You have rates of ounces or part of an ounce per acre. So those are all economically viable things that should check some of these boxes about sustainability.
Very good. So what would you say is the biggest challenge facing your businesses today?
That's a loaded question. Supply chain, supply assurance, keeping up with the demand of surreal, unprecedented times at the manufacturers. Again, it's up and down. We need it yesterday. We don't need it for 6 months. Hurry up and ship it. Managing the carrier side of it. Trucking, we ship a lot of product into Canada. You've all probably heard what's going on in Canada with the Canadian truck drivers and lack thereof. I have a shipment right now that's been sitting in a yard for a week and a half that should have delivered 3 weeks ago for a specialty ingredient. So trying to mitigate those supply chain challenges as a result of processing operations. We're in another surge with COVID. A lot of facilities are challenged with people being out. For those facilities that they don't have a COVID issue, they can't get people to come and work at their facility. And so maybe they have enough to run 3 lines and 3 shifts, and maybe they're running 2 lines and 2 shifts because that's all the people they can get. And then because of that, you're backed up on product. And if you're backed up on product, you're not bringing in more product off the farm to process. So it's really, I feel like a lot of troubleshooting every day, trying to be as creative as you can and relying on those relationships to come up with some solutions and mitigate the situation. And I thought 2020 was hard. I thought 2021 was hard. Here we go, 22. So we'll see.
Well, as the S&P 500 is down about 5% over the last month, we could see another push on foods that are inexpensive and go a long way. That's exciting. But on the challenge side, boy, the logistics is just tough. You get a carrier set up to pick up, over the road stuff, and the day before they call and say we got a better rate and a better route. So the day before they drop off, and then you have to go out and find another carrier that's going to charge you a lot more. So there's that. On the rail side, dry bean facility processing is not in the best areas really for rail, and it might be 10 days to 2 weeks to get a rail car spotted. And then, I think rail industry is hard. I mean, working for a railroad's hard, and I think they're struggling. I think maintenance issues are a concern. We've had several rail cars get sidelined with repairing brakes or doing something like that. It could be, we've had 5 to 6 weeks, where we've been waiting on a rail car. And so that right now, that's our biggest challenge. Labor is not a challenge for us right now. We're in a good place in Indianapolis, Indiana. There's enough people to work. That is not a challenge. But if suppliers have issues, that's where we have to, and you mentioned that, who knows if they're going to have to shut down or if they're going to have enough people to package beans.
John?
I would say logistics and capital letters. Everything from the truck availability and freight rates on trucks to get from point A to point B. And I mentioned earlier the container availability and steamships, leaving your containers at the port, sailing it with them empty, leaving with empty containers just to get back and reload them with consumer goods in China and Asia. So logistics is the big challenge we're facing right now. Secondarily, I mentioned we export a lot. And so the tariffs that were in place over the last couple of years have been harmful for trade, put us at a disadvantage to Canada and Argentina and other places that don't have the tariffs. We have finally the EU tariffs off as of January 1st. It was 25% since 2018. UK is still on at 25%, and that's a huge market, the biggest market for maybes and dark red kidneys in the world. And so those two varieties obviously are backed up and plenty of supply because we just can't ship what we want to ship or normally would ship. So logistics and capital letters and tariffs and not quite as big a capital letters.
Very good. So when all of you did your introduction, there was a lot of experience. There's also a lot of passion when you described who you are, what your companies did. So what do you see as the most exciting opportunities of working in the bean industry for you today?
I'll touch on the specialty side of it as I did a little bit. As we look at plant-based protein growth, that continues to be an emerging trend that we saw in 2021, tail end of 2020 is continuing in 2022. And with that is pulse utilization. So how do we think of outside of the box options and opportunities, applications for dry edible beans? And for me, I've worked on a lot of projects with a customer where they might be doing a traditional product such as a cereal, or maybe it's a frozen waffle, and they want to incorporate some pulses to that, but they're really not sure how to go about that. And so it's really understanding what is it, are they wanting to just add the pulse on their ingredient deck? Are they wanting to add a certain level of protein? Are they wanting it to be fully produced of beans versus some of the cereal grains or maybe an ancient grain that they were doing? And then to find out what they're going to have for the best opportunity to create the form and function and have the integrity that they want, but then also have the mouthfeel that they want, to have the flavor profile. Using a raw edible bean is not real easy to get into a waffle that my kids are going to eat, because if I don't have it just right, they're going to say, this is not an Eggo mom. This is the off-brand, that type of thing. So we had a customer that wanted to add some beans, and we worked with them to create a waffle using a pre-cooked navy bean flour. So we took our navy beans, we put them through some partial cooking where the starches are partially cooked, and then we milled it into a flour, and they were able to add some ancient grains to that, so that they were able to do some pulse utilization, had the mouthfeel that the R&D team wanted, had the color profile that they're looking for, the sensory. So really creating those custom, unique opportunities is where I have a passion for beans, to see where we can go with it. We've done some cereals, we've done some pizza crust. We're doing a lot of now specialty milling of pulses, where we are putting those in a retail pack and it's on the supermarket shelf. So then those at home can incorporate garbanzo bean or navy bean or different bean flours to their market, to their home recipes. And then in addition to that, we have a e-commerce site called HFI Marketplace. And what we do there is we sell 50-pound bags of organic, different edible beans. So the at-home baker or the at-home cook, maybe they're doing some smaller catering type thing, can utilize some of these specialty types of pulses, and then support that with some different recipes and blogs for that out-of-the-box thinking.
What's exciting for us, I think I mentioned earlier, is many new users. And we subscribe to a Nielsen service that provides us store data. And at the end, so I did a 52-week analysis at the end of February of 21, so it started March of 20. And dry bean sales for that year increased 35%. The sales, total U.S. sales, are about $600 million. And that's a big increase for dry beans, obviously. So what that's done is our buyers at regional or national grocery chains have started coming, and they're more excited about beans than they have ever been, because they want to make sure they have it on the shelf. And they don't just want, the 1 pound and 2 pound commodity products. They want, okay, how can we get more dollars out of the ring of the consumer? And if you think about the ingredients that consumers purchase when they buy a bag of beans, there's a lot of extra ingredients, whether it's meat, whether it's vegetables, it's canned products, whatever it is. There is a lot of extra ingredients that go into it. So when you look at the shopping basket studies that come out, consumers that buy dry beans buy a lot of product in the grocery store. So I think our buyers and category managers are starting to understand that. And just this last week, I set up 2 conference calls for next week with buyers that they want to talk about beans and what we can do. So that's what I'm excited about. I think our customers are understanding it, and I think consumers, again, those new users, when you get calls from consumers saying, I don't know how to cook beans, what do I do? That's a very exciting thing for us.
Excellent. John?
Yeah, I would echo those things too. Plant-based protein, it's checking a lot of boxes for what the consumers are after these days, and our food companies that we sell to are all excited about it, introducing new products. So I think that's an exciting part of the business. I would also say just the relationships that we've developed over the years, that's, to me personally, exciting. I've been doing this long enough where I've got second-generation farmers that we deal with, and even some third-generation farmers since I've been in the business. Grandpa's retired, and even maybe Dad's retired, and I'm dealing with a 20 or 25-year-old farmer now. And that's always exciting because it keeps you engaged, and there's a whole different mindset with the younger generation that want to do things and the ideas they have, and we want to be able to participate with them and bring markets to them and find those opportunities that help them get ahead too and meet their goals. But there's never a lack of excitement in the bean business. Every year it's something different, and it's what keeps us engaged.
Very good. We do have some time left. I do have some additional questions, but if anybody in the audience has any questions, we want to make sure we answer those as well. So if anybody has in the crowd, you guys are going to go easy on the panelists today. That's never fun. I get to keep on asking questions then, unless anybody has anything. We do, as I said, have a lot of growers in the room, and each of your company is a little different in the supply chain. How do your businesses impact the growers here in the room?
I think from the specialty side of it, again, certified organic, it's not for everybody. What we do is primarily, 99% is certified organic for the edible beans. And for those growers that wanted to enter into that specialty market and be a player in that, we've been able to offer contracts and help them on the agronomy side of it with the expertise. For those growers that have wanted to transition from conventional to certified organic, we've had a transitional organic program. Our company is one of the first companies that carried certified transitional programming. That's part of sustainability. Some manufacturers have a push for that, and they will have product on the shelf that promotes certified transitional to get an incentive for the growers as they convert from a commercial conventional farming to certified organic, which typically takes 3 years. And then offering the out-of-the-box application. So if we think, beans can only be a bean as a bean, well, maybe your bean is in your waffle, or maybe it's in your bread, or maybe it's in your pizza, or maybe it's in the cereal that your granddaughter's having in the morning. So really to see the unique offerings of all the applications that beans can bring to the table is really exciting. It's in snack foods, it's in the better for you, it's in pasta. We eat more garbanzo bean chickpea pasta in our house now than regular wheat pasta. So I think if I made a switch, my kids would wonder what's going on. So really to see those unique capabilities has been exciting.
We purchase and package and market about 16 different varieties of dry beans. And, that quality that our product has here in the United States is very important. I actually this year brought in a few loads of beans from Peru, and it's the first time we've ever imported beans because we haven't had to, because our quality here is so good. We try to focus on U.S. #1 beans, and we have a very good network of suppliers and growers that meet that call. And so we want to continue to do that. We want to continue on the conventional side, but also on the organic. We are moving into that direction. And, I would say if we can continue to have that same U.S. good quality on the organic side, I think we'll all be better off.
John?
Yeah, how we impact the grower, we're a believer in early contracting, getting out there and getting the growers that are loyal to us and supporting us. So we do a lot of grower contracting with our customers. We handle a lot of varieties, and we're a footprint from 8 different states. Customers rely on us, one-stop shop, to get many varieties of beans from us. And, that helps us be a market maker for a lot of these varieties. And so we provide liquidity and stability, trustworthy partner for the farmers to deal with. We're a seed producer. We grow seed in Idaho and package it and market Kelley bean branded seed. And I think we've been very flexible over the years. Mother Nature can throw some real curveballs. We've had some very highly variable crops the last 3 years, especially. Too much rain. Y'all remember fall of 19 with 15 inches of rain in September and October. Harvest didn't get going until almost Halloween that year. And be able to take those beans and not have a farmer having to plow them down, be able to harvest them and do something with them. I think that's what our strengths are here in this market.
Very good. Thank you. And I'll ask again if anyone in the audience have any questions. So in some ways, this is a bit of a nerve-wracking panel for me because NCI has a bit of a long history working with beans, and a number of our panelists have a history working with NCI on the Northern Crops Council board. So it is a pleasure being here. I am going to ask you guys to look into your crystal balls and look forward and say, what do you see the next 5-10 years? What are the future trends? What are the things we really need to be looking out for as it relates to the bean business?
I think continuing on the sustainability, that's going to continue to grow. Definitions of sustainability, definitions of regenerative farming and how dry edible beans play a part in that. Continue to see the plant-based protein grow and pulse utilization in different applications that we have not thought of yet. We've seen some change in demand. A lot of that pulse utilization also is a fit in the gluten-free market, right? So if we think of those non-traditional foods that contain gluten, oftentimes we're doing pulse utilization to create a fit in that persona. Better for you, obviously dry edible beans fit the better for you, right? It's a whole grain They are non-GMO. They can be produced certified organic. So all of those trends, we continue to see that grow. We continue to see the manufacturers ask for more support and how they can use the dry edible beans, and I'm excited to be a part of that.
Yeah, since we're specifically dry edible beans, it's hard to get excited about too much, but we like to create different flavors and seasonings, and we're always working with R&D to try to determine what's that going to be. I mean, Coca-Cola hasn't come out with a bean soda yet, so we're trying to figure out something to do. It'd be nice to have something like that. It's interesting. We actually did tried to create a bean vodka, and it was not very good. But you got to keep trying stuff, right? You have to keep trying. I'd say 5 to 10 years. Again, I think the pea protein and the plant protein is very strong. Obviously, I think I just saw like Chipotle, now has a, plant-based Chipotle, stuff, or chorizo. And then you have, I think I just saw Kentucky Fried Chicken with their plant-based chicken, or chicken-flavored product, whatever it is. But I think we have, if you cook a pot of beans and you put seasoning in it, it takes on that flavor. And I think that's where we get on the plant-based protein side, that you're going to be able to work with that, and it's going to have a lot of ability to work. And we're going to try to get in that as well. But I think that's what's exciting, is those alternative ingredient items.
Very good. John?
Yeah, I think a lot of the same things there that Jennifer mentioned, and Tony too, but beans are well positioned. Your plant-based protein may not be the cheapest plant-based protein versus peas, but it's still a viable alternative, and is opening a lot of doors in new markets. It's non-GMO, it's gluten-free. If you start getting them in, the sustainability is not going away, and it's a legume that fixes its own nitrogen to some degree. So it's checking so many different boxes. I'm very excited about dry beans. There's a couple challenges that are going to temper that. That is, it's not the cheapest plant-based protein, but it is still viable. And the trend in farming, it's getting larger and larger, and sometimes dry beans don't fit that as well. They want to be able to harvest a lot of acres in a day, and dry beans don't work that way sometimes. So there's some things that'll temper that, but I'm very excited for it. We've got a bright future.
Very good. I think we are about out of time. Thanks to our panelists and your wonderful insights, and thanks for having us today.
Thank you.